Merci, Monsieur le Président, et je remercie à mes amis au Comité de m'avoir accueilli tellement chaleureusement aujourd'hui. Je connais pas, que je suis pas membre du Comité, mais je suis avec attention les travaux du Comité et naturellement, j'aimerais intervenir dès le début sur la philosophie de l'acte sur les langues officielles et BQ1. Nous avons pour plus de 50 ans dans ce pays, eu la position qu'il y a deux langues officielles dans ce pays, deux minorités en situation minoritaire de langues officielles dans ce pays, les anglophones du Québec, les francophones à l'extérieur du Québec, et qu'il y avait un traitement égal entre ces deux communautés, et que l'anglais et le français devraient être égaux au Canada. Et depuis ma naissance, ça c'était ma vision du Canada, que nous avons deux langues officielles qui sont respectées tout à travers le pays. When Monsieur Beaulieu mentioned that in Quebec you can just get services in English where numbers don't warrant, that's actually not true. The Quebec National Assembly just passed Bill 96. Bill 96 says that in order to obtain services in English from the Quebec government, you need to have had access to English schools in Quebec. That means that you have to have a parent or grandparent who was educated in English in Canada. Because as you all know, Monsieur et Madame les membres du comité, in Quebec, mother tongue does not grant you access to minority language schooling. Quebec never opted into Section 59 of the Constitution Act. So the only people that have a right to English services today in Quebec are those people who are able to claim or show they have access to English schools. Basically, more than half of the English-speaking population of Quebec, or close to, because in Canada, we count the official language minority communities by first official language spoken. That is the official way we count. They don't have access to English schools. And so now they won't get services. My friend who married an Australian, she's moved to Quebec. Her whole family speaks both English and French. They have access to English schools. They can get served in English, but she can't, even though she's come from Australia, since she's been there more than 6 months and she doesn't have access to English schools. No, I'm not saying this to be, oh wow, the English-speaking community in Quebec is so hard done on, that's a provincial law. But the federal government should be recognizing both communities equal and protecting both minorities equally. We should not be picking and choosing one minority community over another. That is not the philosophy of the Official Languages Act, and that has never been how I think Canada has viewed minorities. We're here to protect all minorities. And by agreeing to amendments that start saying that Quebec's language regime, which 96% of English-speaking Quebecers do not agree with, right? 96% of English-speaking Quebecers oppose Bill 96. That makes use of the notwithstanding clause preemptively to say that rights are taken away without even the person having the opportunity to have a court strike down the right that's taken away. A law that says that people can't get government services unless they have access to English schools. This is not the philosophy that this committee should be bowing into and saying should now be in the Canadian Official Languages Act. Je crois que tout le monde ici, quand vous regardez l'amendement de M. Beaulieu ou vous regardez les autres amendements, quelques-uns qui ont été proposés, vous allez regarder une philosophie qui est complètement contre l'histoire, non seulement du Parti libéral du Canada, mais aussi du Parti conservateur et aussi de l'NPD. On a toujours eu comme parti un respect pour les droits minoritaires. On a toujours eu le respect pour toutes les minorités dans ce pays. And I can only say, as an English-speaking Quebecer, and I plead with you, I represent a riding which is mostly English-speaking in Quebec, and I've never had my community be so dispirited, be so unhappy, be so scared. Bill 96 has made English-speaking Quebecers feel like they don't know who stands for them anymore. They watched the National Assembly adopt a law that their community was barely consulted on and nobody agrees with. They feel like they don't know if they have a future in their own province anymore. I have a brother. He moved to Toronto long ago. I have 4 first cousins. Each of them left Quebec long ago. Most of the kids I went to school with left Quebec. They left not because they don't love Quebec and they don't love Montreal and that they're not bilingual. Nous sommes tous bilingues, les jeunes anglophones du Québec. They left because they doubted that they had a future in a place where they didn't know if they were part of society. And we need to change that philosophy. And by the federal government, by the federal parliament, bowing in to the idea that we're no longer equal to francophones outside Quebec and we should be treated differently, this is just an awful thing. So I plead with the members of this committee, not only when you look at BQ1, but when you look at all the amendments, please, in the Federal Official Languages Act, English and French should be equal. English and French minority language communities should be equal legally. Now, obviously, the courts have talked about substantive equality. Substantive equality means you can have legal symmetry but be treated differently based on your needs. But there should be legal symmetry. And so I thank the members of the committee for giving me this chance, et je vous remercie tous et toutes.